Arirang.
Introducing Korean broadcast content that you won't be able to stop watching. For weary modern souls, Dr. Romantic, the quirky genius doctor of Puldam Hospital, prescribes heartwarming tales of humanity. Alive. Raw stories of youth, work, and love. Beyond what social media can show, experience the vibrant Korea through its hidden gems. Mama, the ultimate K-pop festival for global fans. Find your star in a feast of trendy music and electrifying performances. Now, the whole world enjoys it together.
U.S. President Donald Trump has warned of supplies. South Korea's Foreign Minister Hyun is set to attend ASEAN-related meetings in the Philippines, where top diplomats from Southeast Asia and other major powers have gathered for a series of security talks. Cho is expected to meet his American and Japanese counterparts to discuss North Korea and economic security issues. The heads of Korean tech giants Samsung Electronics, SK Group, and Naver are expected to meet Nvidia's CEO Huang's visit to Seoul in early June and are expected to highlight Nvidia's deepening partnership with Korean companies. Hello and thanks for joining us on Arirang News. U.S. President Donald Trump vowed action in response to the Houthis' potential shutdown of the Red Sea. He also threatened to strike Iran's nuclear facility soon. Our Kim Jun-ho starts us off.
U.S. President Donald Trump said on Tuesday that the United States would respond if Yemen's Iran-backed Houthis move to blockade commercial shipping in the Red Sea.
So far, it hasn't happened, might happen. But we take care of things. If something like that happens, we take care of it, you know.
The Houthis declared a naval blockade of Saudi Arabia on Monday, threatening to attack any vessel loading or unloading Saudi oil. That's already disrupting traffic, with 2 tankers carrying Saudi crude to Asia reversing course in the Red Sea on Tuesday. Since the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, the Red Sea has served as the main alternative route for crude exports. But the latest disruption is raising fresh supply concerns. Global oil prices gained more than 2% on Tuesday, pushing Brent crude above 91 US.
We'll be hitting that area probably pretty soon, and there's not a thing they can do about it.
The war is taking a growing financial toll on Washington. While defending the White House's supplemental funding request before a Senate committee, Access revealed the campaign against Iran cost $37.5 billion. The figure includes projected costs through September. He said $67 billion of the White House's $87.6 billion supplemental funding request was needed to help cover the costs of the war. Meanwhile, Iran continues its retaliatory strikes on U.S. military facilities across the region. The Revolutionary Guard said on Tuesday they had hit a tactical radar array and other systems in Kuwait, claiming the targets had been successfully neutralized. Kim Jun-ho, Arirang News.
Seoul's Foreign Minister Hyun will attend ASEAN-related meetings in Manila from Wednesday. He will meet U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Japanese Foreign Minister Toshimitsu Motegi, with North Korea regional development and economic security expected to top the agenda. The meeting comes roughly 2 weeks after their previous talks at the NATO summit in Ankara. Cho will begin Wednesday after their previous talks at the NATO summit in Ankara. Cho will begin Wednesday's schedule with bilateral talks with Australia and Thailand before attending the South Korea ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting. He will meet his counterparts from New Zealand, Brunei, and the Philippines later in the day. On Thursday, Cho will attend the ASEAN Plus 3 Foreign Ministers meeting, followed by the ASEAN Regional Forum and the East Asia Summit Foreign Ministers meeting. He will conclude his schedule by meeting his counterparts from the Mekong countries. following the overnight rally in techs jumping over 5% and SK Hynix rising over 8%. Silicon Valley could host an unprecedented gathering of the world's biggest AI leaders this week, with the heads of Samsung, SK Group, Naver, and Nvidia expected to meet. The talks are expected to focus on strengthening AI infrastructure cooperation as Nvidia rolls out its next-generation AI computing platform. Our Lee Seung-jae reports.
Samsung Electronics Chairman Lee Jae-yong, SK Group Chairman Chey Tae-won, and Naver founder Lee Hae-jin are expected to meet Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang in Silicon Valley later this week in what could become one of the most significant gatherings of leaders in the global AI industry. According to business sources on Wednesday, a roundtable is being arranged for as early as July 24th, with discussions expected to focus on expanding cooperation in AI infrastructure. The meeting could also include OpenAI CEO Sam Altman and Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei, bringing together executives from companies that lead key segments of artificial intelligence, from advanced memory chips and graphics processors to generative AI services. If held, it would mark the first time leaders from the world's top AI hardware and software companies have gathered in one place to discuss collaboration across the industry's supply chain. The planned talks would also highlight Nvidia's growing partnership with South Korean companies. Jensen Huang visited Seoul in early June, meeting executives from Samsung, SK, Hyundai Motor, LG, and Naver. Another high-level meeting just over a month later would underscore Korea's increasingly important role in the global AI ecosystem. The gathering comes as Nvidia accelerates deployment of its next-generation AI computing platform. The company says systems powered by its new Vera Rubin architecture have entered full-scale production and are already being installed by major customers. Nvidia says OpenAI plans to deploy the platform at scale by the third quarter, while Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, Meta, Dell Technologies, and CoreWeave are also integrating the new systems into their AI data centers. Named after pioneering American astronomer Vera Rubin, the new chip architecture marks Nvidia's next major leap in AI computing and is designed to handle the rapidly growing data demands of advanced AI training and inference. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Korea's Producer Price Index, a key gauge of future consumer inflation, remained flat in June from the previous month to end a 9-month streak of gains, though it rose 8.6% year-on-year. According to preliminary data from the Bank of Korea on Wednesday, coal and petroleum products dropped around 5% last month due to lower oil prices, while computer, electronic, and optical devices rose about 2%, driven by steady demand. However, the Bank of Korea notes that producer prices are still showing a high growth rate year-on-year, and secondary effects from oil price hikes are expected to persist. BTS global hit Dynamite is enjoying a renewed surge in the United States following the 2026 FIFA World Cup final as the group took to the stage for the halftime show on Sunday, performing the song before a worldwide audience. According to Billboard on Tuesday, citing Luminate data, U.S. streams of Dynamite jumped 13% in a single day to 160,000. Other songs featured during the show also saw gains. The official World Cup song by Shakira and Burna Boy rose 25% to 979,000 streams, while Justin Bieber's Everything Hallelujah posted the biggest increase, climbing 34% to 130,000. Madonna's Music also gained 6%. A decade after AlphaGo transformed the world of Go, Shin Jin-seo has claimed a rare series victory over one of today's strongest AI programs, reviving the human challenge against artificial intelligence. Our Shin So-eun has the details.
The world's top-ranked Go player Shin Jin-seo has defeated the artificial intelligence program KataGo in a best-of-3 match. Go, or Baduk in Korean, involves placing stones on a board in an attempt to encircle your opponent. It has far more combinations and complexity than chess. In 2015, Google DeepMind launched its AlphaGo AI program that could beat even the best human players. Only the legendary Isidore has ever beaten it. KataGo is an upgraded version of AlphaGo and is almost impossible to beat. Unlike the previous AI Human Go match, Shin played this year's matches with the handicap advantage to level the playing field, as today's AI is even stronger than AlphaGo. Shin began each round with 2 black stones already placed on the board, which serves as an advantage estimated at around 18 points.
With a 2-stone handicap, giving KataGo 6.5 points of Komi would be close to impossible. But if the Komi were 2 or 3 points, it would still be a very tough challenge, but not merely an impossible one.
Shaken by an unfamiliar move from artificial intelligence, Shin suffered a defeat in the opening game. But he never gave up on victory and returned with a different approach in the second game. By using a large opening sequence to limit uncertainty before fighting in the center of the board, Shin eventually secured a 4.5-point victory to level the series. Gaining influence along the upper side and towards the center at the third deciding match, Shin ultimately sealed an 11.5-point victory after 221 moves. Rather than copying the AI's preferred moves, he focused on constructing a thick and stable position. After his win, fans gave him the nickname of 신공지능 or Shintelligence.
I think Game 3 was my stronger performance, but Game 2 was probably the more satisfying win, because it was way more challenging.
Experts called Shin's final match nearly flawless as he used his AI studies to push KataGo into unfamiliar territory. Shin and the organizers are now eyeing a tougher rematch. 신소은, Arirang News.
South Korea's Daejeon City has been selected to host the 2029 Invictus Games, an international sporting event for injured military veterans. This will mark the first time the Games are hosted in Asia, raising expectations for Korea to expand the event's presence across the continent. Our Park Gun-wook reports.
For the first time, the Invictus Games are coming to Asia. The Korean central city of Daejeon secured the right to host the 2029 Games after winning a unanimous vote over San Diego in the US and Aalborg, Denmark. Evaluators credited Korea's closely coordinated effort between the central government, local authorities, and the veteran community, united behind one mission, helping wounded service members recover and rebuild their lives.
When I competed, I had to go all the way to Germany, so it's meaningful that Korea will now be able to welcome athletes. I hope it helps more people recognize how veterans are honored here. After being injured, many service members feel like their lives are over, but I eventually realized it wasn't the end, but the beginning.
Founded by the UK's Prince Harry in 2014, the Invictus Games use sport to support the physical, psychological, and social recovery of wounded service members. And the Daejeon Games will mark its 9th edition. But despite its growing global reach, South Korea remains the only Asian country participating so far. The foundation believes hosting the Games in Korea could encourage more Asian nations to join.
Within the Asian context, it's the fact that, there is a lot of conflict going on and a lot of veterans around that aren't necessarily getting the respect and treatment. The great determination would be that we help change attitudes across Asia as well. I know there will be millions of people in Asia will be watching the Games in Daejeon.
The 2029 Games are expected to draw thousands of athletes, families, and supporters from 26 countries. Among the participating nations are 12 countries that fought alongside South Korea or provided medical support during the Korean War, including the US, Australia, and Colombia. Daejeon is also stepping up preparations to ensure the Games are a success.
We're expecting around 3,000 athletes and family members. We'll carefully prepare every aspect from sports venues to accommodation to ensure the Games are a success. With our experience hosting a major international event recently, we're confident.
The countdown has already begun, and in 2029, Daejeon will become the first Asian city to host the Invictus Games, showing how sport can help wounded service members recover and rebuild their lives. Park Gun-wook, Arirang News, Daejeon.
This is the world now? In Ukraine, President Vladimir Zelenskyy has fired General Alexander Syrsky as commander-in-chief of the armed forces and named Mikhailo Drapati as his replacement following days of mass protests in Kyiv and other cities demanding Syrsky's removal. It's the second time in the past year Zelenskyy has reversed course under pressure from protests after rallies last summer forced him to undo a law weakening Ukraine's anti-corruption watchdogs. The crisis began last week when Zelenskyy fired his defense minister Mikhailo Fedorov. Fedorov then publicly accused Syrsky of blocking military reforms and fostering a Soviet-style command culture. Protesters framed Fedorov's removal as Zelenskyy siding with the military's old guard. Zelenskyy said he made the decision after a series of meetings with military commanders. In Canada, Prime Minister Mark Carney warned that he would consider all options if the new tariffs that Trump threatened go ahead. Carney's comments come after he and Trump agreed on Tuesday to intensify trade negotiations. President Trump on Monday unveiled 50% tariffs on a wide range of Canadian goods, citing what he called discriminatory treatment of American cars, alcohol, and dairy. Asked whether the tariffs were linked to his earlier comments blaming Canada for wildfire smoke, Trump said, quote, "No, that's separate." The U.S. Trade Representative's office says the tariffs would apply to nearly $20 billion of Canadian imports, which is about 5% of what the U.S. imported from Canada last year. Carney said Canadian provinces should only lift their bans on U.S. alcohol as part of a broader trade deal. In Chile, week-long rainstorms have killed at least 10 people and triggered flash floods that have cut off more than 100,000 others as authorities race to reach those stranded. Chile's president declared a state of emergency on Monday in the Atacama and Coquimbo regions in the country's usually arid north. The storms there have destroyed dozens of homes and displaced thousands of people. Officials warned that swollen rivers will remain a threat even after the rain eases. Meteorologists attribute the rain to the return of El Niño, a naturally occurring Pacific Ocean phenomenon that brings extreme weather to the region. In France, lawmakers have approved a ban on social media access for children under 15 as concerns grow worldwide over social media's impact on kids' health and safety. France becomes the first country in Europe to adopt such a ban, following Australia, where a ban for under-16s on platforms including Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube took effect in December. Under the new law, children younger than 15 won't be able to open a social media account starting September 1st, and platforms will have 4 months to close existing accounts. Platforms will also be required to use age verification approved by France's privacy regulator. Chu Ji-hyun, Arirang News.
It's shaping up to be another muggy day across the country today. While afternoon highs have been hovering below 30 degrees Celsius in the capital area for nearly a week due to the rain and cloudy skies, but that high humidity is making everyone feeling sluggish. Meanwhile, heat wave alerts remain in place for most of the southern provinces, with the southeast regions having intense summer heat. In fact, Pohang in Gyeongsang-Pukto province could see a high of 37 degrees Celsius this afternoon. The heaviest rain bands have moved away, but Central Korea can still expect to see 5 to 60 millimeters of showers throughout the day today. And this afternoon, Seoul will be getting up to 30 degrees Celsius, Daejeon topping out at 32, but Daegu and Gyeongju will be sizzling hot at 35 degrees Celsius. More monsoon showers are expected nationwide tomorrow, and the combination of hot, humid days and warm nights will continue for most regions.
Now that's all we have for today's noon edition of Arirang News. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Stay tuned.